With Starehe Boys Center, you can always bank on us to give you a good report on Standard Chartered. Now, Standard Chartered started off as the Standard Bank of South Africa, and when it came to East Africa in 1910, it got its trading license, and in 1911, established its two first banks in Kenya at the Mombasa Treasury Square and in Nairobi. In 1969, two very important things happened in history. The Apollo 1 landed on the moon, and in 1969, the Standard Bank of United Kingdom merged with the Chartered Bank of India, Australia, and China to form the Standard Chartered Bank. In 1989, Standard Chartered Bank of Kenya was registered under the Nairobi Securities Exchange under the name SCBK. As of December 2013, Standard Chartered was valued at $2.289 billion by assets, making this the fourth largest bank by assets in Kenya out of the 43 licensed banks. As of August 2014, the bank had an estimate 34 branches, 90 ATMs, 1,700 employees, to name a few of their achievements. Now to their vision. To be a world-class shared service center for the Standard Chartered Group. Their approach, here for the people, here for progress, and here for the long run. The brand promise, here for good. Company values is that all times they aspire to achieve their 5 core values, which is 1, to be courageous in their ability to take risks in new business ventures by the day, being responsive by the services that they give to their customers, being international by having multiple branches everywhere, being creative in different ways in which they respond to the society they live around, and being trustworthy in the place that you can always keep your money. With every great company comes a great management, and Standard Chartered never fails in this sector. We have the chair of the board, Ann Mutahi, a former CEO of the Amro Group, Lamin Manjang, who is MD and Chief Executive Officer of Standard Chartered Group, non-executive directors such as Karaoke Ngari, Kaushik Shah, Les Bailey, Patrick Obath, who is closely related to Starehe Boys Center, Chemtai Murgor, the Executive Director of Finance, Robin Bayerstow, an Executive Director, and Nancy Oginde, who is the Board Secretary. Their stock ownership in the Nairobi Securities Exchange is at a ratio of 74 to 26, with 74% owned by the Standard Chartered Group and 26% owned by 32,000 plus institutional and individual investors in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And before I leave, I'd like to enter into the industry of operation. To simply put it, Standard Chartered is a bank. The kind of place where you put your money for some money and ask for money for some more money. We don't like a bank where you'd give a loan, they would give you a loan and then leave you alone, but you can never all get that. And now to the guy with the numbers, but probably I might be asking for a few after this. Some person who had a PhD calls this quantitative analysis, but I only do that in chemistry. Ladies and gentlemen, Herbert Okude.
Forgive the sick humor of my friend. Now to serious business. I'm going to speak about the company's growth. Let's start with the profit. As you can all see, the company has been making a steady increase in profit. In 2014, the company recorded 14 billion profit, and this was a 7% rise from 2013. The rise can be attributed to the money they got from sale of property, which boosted their growth. And in 2015, the bank is expecting a drop in profit by approximately 25%. This is because of the bad debts that the company has had in last year's their trading period. Let me speak about the net income. The net income has been increasing all from 2010 to 2014. In 2014, we see the bank has the highest net income. This is because in 2014, the banking sector performed very well. And in 2014, actually, they got the highest deposits, rising by around 9.3%. in 2014. I'm going to speak about the share price next. And for my graph, you can see in 2015, from 2015 earlier, it's been increasing up to its highest peak, which is 104 shillings, then dropping steadily up to the 44. And the drop is worrying because it's not a good sign for the bank, but it has put various strategies, which I'll speak of later. The drop in earnings per share can be attributed also to the bad debts of the bank, the non-performing loans, which has made the earnings per share to be at its lowest for the past decade. Meaning this bank has been performing well all the years, but last year it was not its best year. Moving on to the dividends. The dividends has also been increasing. You can all see that from my slide here. And in 2016 is expected to rise. Let's start from 2014. 2014 currently it's high. 2015 there's a drop. Then in 2016 it's expected to be a rise. I think in 2016 they're expecting a rise mainly because of the profits, out of which dividends are paid. So the bank is expecting more profits. So I think that it can increase its dividend. And the operating margin for the bank is 48.1%. The net profit margin was at 33.61%. The return on assets, 3.71. Return on equity was 20.73. This company cannot do whatever it has done, meaning increase its dividends, its profits, net income, without putting some strategies. So here are the strategies the bank has. Brand differentiation. Under this, we have the bank refining its brand. In 2015, the bank partnered with Airtel to offer free access to mobile banking. And we can see the banking industry is changing and it's going digital. So Standard Chartered is at the forefront of implementing this. It also partnered with Safaricom so that the business customers who are using Lipa na M-Pesa can convert their e-value to real cash. The bank also has a corporate social responsibility. And under this, under education, the bank sponsors some students in Starehe girls. And also health. Let's move on to health. The bank Seeing is Believing is a program that is mainly aimed at eradicating avoidable child blindness. Customer relations management. You cannot convince people to deposit their money into a bank without having good relations with them. So the bank has various ways in which it relates with its customers. First of all, it relates with them at a very good ground. At the cashiers, they normally interact with their customers very well. And also it believes that customers buy a product once and own the service forever. So this can drive the customers at least to deposit their money on the bank. Then innovation and digitization. The bank uses straight to banking, which is a platform in which anyone can transact any business anywhere in the world. Through this program, you can import something and pay customs duty through this program. This is a competitive advantage to the bank, I believe, compared to other banks and its competitors, Equity, KCB, and the rest. So from all this, we can see Standard Chartered is a good bank, but there are still some areas which it needs to improve, especially in their market share. I think they need to improve on that. Now I'll welcome the next speaker.
A short speech is like a miniskirt. Brief enough to grasp your attention and short enough to arouse your interest. In the spirit of miniskirtedness, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to shed some insight on the shortest, but rather the most important part of this presentation. Should I buy, sell, or hold shares of Standard Chartered Bank Kenya? At the close of 2013, the gross and performing loss of the company, Standard Chartered Bank Kenya, surged from 3.85 billion Kenyan shillings to 11.15 billion Kenyan shillings at the beginning of the quarter of 2014. It is worth commending the Standard Chartered Board that they noted this shortcoming early enough. Hence, prompting recognition and classification of its non-performing assets, and also the daily replacement of Mr. Etemesi as the managing director of Standard Chartered Bank East Africa. What led to these shortcomings? Reasons. The increased operating costs of the Standard Chartered Bank Kenya, bad loans, declining transaction-based income, and sharp rise in loan loss provision. However, it's finance. And the beauty of it all is that progress is cumulative in science and engineering, but cyclical in finance. What do I mean? Standard Chartered Bank Kenya has been a traditional performer in the banking industry in Kenya. And the investor analysis have predicted a rise in performance of Standard Chartered Bank Kenya. Also, the CEO, together with his team, have put up strategies to enable the redemption of Standard Chartered Bank Kenya. Hence, I won't explain further, but to give, of course, a whole recommendation. Why? As I've explained, Standard Chartered Bank is set to rise. Standard Chartered Bank is set to rise in performance, and that is onset in the next financial year. When you go to Rome, you do as the Romans do. But when you come to Africa, you do as the Africans like. What do I mean? What will I do if I'm in the Standard Chartered board for a day or so? Of course, Africa 20 years ago held 15% of humanity in the world, but only accommodated to 2.5% of the total world output. This clearly shows a lag in opportunities in Africa. And if we're in the board for a day, I'd push for the theme of Africanization. What do I mean by Africanization? Africanization is basically a feel, a touch, a sense of Africa in the bank. And how can this be achieved? Cheap. Promote African culture, togetherness, unity in the bank. How could this be achieved? First of all, customer bases in Africa. These customer bases will actually give a sense of togetherness, and of course, daily leading to rise in performance of the bank. It's a chance worth taking. After all, chance favors the connected mind. As I finish up, my sincerest thanks and acknowledgement to the following: my Starehe brothers, for the harsh but sensible critique, and of course, accidental genius. Mrs. Liai, our patron, for of course pushing us to the limit and helping us realize our utmost goal. Yesterday, she actually made me this good. Mr. Mbuva and Mrs. Oriangu for the belief in us, and the Valuraha team for this innovative entity. Also, thank all of you for your time. Thank you.
Judges, do we have any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. I have one question. In your ratios and in your focus, you expect the profit for Standard Chartered to decline in 2015. I don't know your source. Why exactly you expect? Do you talk to management? How exactly do you get that information?
How about me or you? Okay. The source, first of all, to answer your question, the source.
Because the source for the information that you expect Standard Chartered profits for 2015 to decline, you know that information has not been released yet, yeah?
So I'm not getting your question quite. Is your question the source of information?
Yeah, source of information.
The information was sourced from ft.com, which is actually a website compiled by investor analysts and different financial experts.
So it's basically a focus, yeah?
Yeah?
It's a focus.
Yeah, it's a focus. Yeah, it's a focus.
Any other questions, judges?
Thank you for your presentation. My question is one, as a business, what do you think is the biggest risk that faces StanChart?
As a business, I think the major risk facing StanChart is, of course, bad loans that actually affect most of the businesses. But Standard Chartered had to be the most hit by the bad loans because they actually have a small customer base, and the customer base, they're actually lending much to the customer base due to their decreased quantity, and they weren't getting much from the loans.
But what my friend means bad loans, it's bad debts from the company. Bad debts.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Starehe
Here for
boys.
good.